Hello everyone, and welcome back to Whispers of Turkish Stars. It's always a joy to have you here. If you love hearing the real stories behind the glimmer of stardom, make sure you subscribe and stay with us for more. Now, let's step into today's tender, stirring tale. When Yağmur Yüksel sat down for her latest interview, no one in the room had the faintest idea what she was about to reveal. The air shifted as she began to speak about a feeling that had altered the course of her life. The room grew so quiet you could hear the cameras hum. Known for her poise and quiet grace, Yağmur spoke with a raw openness that moved everyone watching. With a calm, steady tone, she said, "It isn't simple romance." Her voice didn't shake, but it carried a weight you could sense. "It's something that refuses to fit inside words. What I feel for him is stronger than anything I've known." Within hours, the media was ablaze. Headlines multiplied, timelines flooded, and every entertainment page was quoting her. The narrative was irresistible. Yağmur confesses profound feelings. A bond she can't hide, a feeling she can't name. She never mentioned a name, but fans and columnists needed no hints. They believed she was speaking about Barış Baktaş, the man who stood opposite her in scenes that made half the country believe in love all over again. The man so many thought had changed the way she looked at the world. Yağmur has guarded her private life with a near-sacred quiet, but in that interview, her heart was visible. In her eyes, there was a gentle brightness, a trace of memory, and something like a soft ache that didn't ask for sympathy. She talked about love as something not born of control or routine, but as a force threaded with strength, freedom, and the courage to be seen. She described it as a love that gives more than it takes, not a love that swallows you whole, but one that returns you to yourself. People in the audience felt it. In a world where celebrity relationships often look temporary or staged for effect, her sincerity landed like truth. You didn't need her to name anyone, you felt she was speaking from a place that doesn't perform. Those close to the couple later whispered that the road for Yağmur and Barış had not been easy. Long days, longer nights, relentless schedules, miles between sets, relentless speculation, and an ever-watchful press created a storm around them. And yet, they learned how to shield what mattered. They learned to love quietly, carefully, and deeply. A friend who has known them both for years put it like this: what she feels for Barış is spiritual. It reaches beyond explanation. She carries it like a light she doesn't need to show for you to notice it. In that chair, on that day, Yağmur also spoke about how the relationship had transformed her. "I used to believe loving someone meant handing over every inch of yourself," she admitted, her expression serene yet honest. "But now I understand that true love doesn't demand you disappear. It brings you back to yourself. It's respect. It's admiration. It's tenderness. It's the feeling of safety you didn't realize you were missing." When the interviewer asked the question everyone dreads, whether she believed this love would last forever, she paused, smiled softly, and let the silence speak for a heartbeat. Then she said, "I can't promise anyone forever. But I can say this love has already changed me. If one day it ends, it will still live inside me, because it taught me what love really means." Those words raced through social media like a spark catching dry air. Her supporters flooded her pages with messages calling her confession brave, real, and beautiful. Many said she wasn't merely talking about romance, she was describing a soul connection. What struck people even more than the content of her words was the calm in her delivery. There was no spectacle, no dramatics. Just a truth that seemed to steady her from the inside out. It felt as if she had found a kind of peace most people spend a lifetime seeking. Soon, magazines and entertainment shows dissected every nuance. Some said it was her way of confirming the bond she shares with Barış without reducing it to gossip. Others said it was a poem disguised as an answer, the language of someone who'd learned that real love isn't just fireworks, it's endurance in the rain. On set, those who worked with them talked about a chemistry you could not coach. "They understand each other in a single glance," a crew member said. "It feels like their connection speaks a language deeper than words." Still, amid all the warmth, Yağmur admitted something many are afraid to say. Love that big can be frightening. It asks you to trust what you cannot control. When it feels that vast, she said, you're scared of losing it. You worry you won't be enough. But I've realized love isn't ownership. It's acceptance. If it has to ache, let it ache beautifully. And if one day it has to end, let it end with gratitude. Her emotional honesty left a mark. In an era where fame can smooth feelings until they look fake, she stood unguarded. Love has made me more human, she shared quietly. It taught me that tears aren't weakness. They're truth. Later that week, reporters spotted Barış and asked what he thought of the interview. He didn't give a grand speech. He just smiled with that understated warmth he's known for and said, "Yağmur is remarkable. When she talks, people pay attention." It was brief, but it felt like confirmation of what so many already believed: the affection is mutual, and the respect runs deep. Online, the wave didn't stop. Fans resurfaced throwback photos, behind-the-scenes snippets, and moments where their eyes did the talking. But what resonated more than the nostalgia was the authenticity in her words. A few days later, she posted a short message that felt like a whisper to the world: "Some stories of the heart are beyond telling. They don't belong to crowds or captions. They live in quiet, in the weight of a look, in the echo of a heartbeat." Without naming anyone, she said everything. Today, those around her say Yağmur looks more at ease than ever. Happier. More confident. Rooted. Whether her love story with Barış continues to unfold or shifts into another form, one truth is hard to ignore: it has left an imprint she will carry through every chapter of her life. In an industry where romances flare and fade like flashbulbs, she reminded everyone of what it means to love with soul, a love that doesn't entirely vanish even if its shape changes. And when someone recently asked her one more time what love means to her, she held that same gentle smile and answered in a way that lingered long after the cameras stopped. "What I feel for him stretches beyond what we usually call love, because love, as we use the word, can sound like something that begins and ends. What we share feels like something that keeps teaching me, whether the day is kind or difficult. It asks me to stand in my own truth and also to meet his. I don't know what tomorrow demands, but I know this. I've been given a love that made me braver, kinder, and more honest than I was." There's a reason that moment rippled across timelines again, a reason people quoted her in their own late-night posts. It wasn't a declaration crafted for headlines. It was the kind of confession that belongs to dim kitchens and quiet car rides, the kind whispered between people who understand that deep affection rearranges the architecture of your life. She revealed that when she wakes before dawn on heavy days, she thinks of the steady things: a voice that steadies her, a hand that warms hers, the calm that finds her when the world is noisy. And when the day is bright, she thinks of laughter that doesn't need applause, of ordinary moments made tender just because they're shared. Friends say that while the press can be intrusive, the two have learned to move around it with humor and gentleness. When rumors rise, they don't fan them, they let time answer. When distance tries to intervene, they build rituals that keep their connection alive: a call before bed no matter the hour, a note slipped into a script bag, a familiar scent on a scarf that travels from set to set. It isn't perfect, but it is theirs, and that seems to be enough. One colleague recalls an evening on location when the crew had wrapped late. Exhausted, everyone drifted toward their cars, but Yağmur and Barış lingered by a doorway lit with a tired bulb. They didn't say much. They didn't have to. A small smile, a breath shared, a look that understood the weight of long days and the quiet victory of simply showing up for each other. "You could feel it," the colleague said later. "There was a steadiness there. Not showy. Just real. But realities still bite. The public expects fairy tales or scandals, both sell. What doesn't sell is the quiet, durable tenderness of two people figuring it out." That's why her interview mattered. It didn't paint a glossy picture. It acknowledged the fear and the fragility, and still chose gratitude. In that choice, perhaps, is how you know it's love. Soon after, another outlet asked her if she regretted being so open. She shook her head. "I didn't reveal a secret," she explained. "I revealed a truth I needed to hear myself say. I'm not asking the world to understand us. I'm reminding myself what this has given me, a sense of home I carry inside. And that, in the end, might be the story. Not the headlines, not the speculation, not even the timeline of who stood where and when. The real story may be the way she now speaks to herself with kindness, the way he watches without trying to fix what doesn't need fixing, the way they both seem to stand taller next to each other yet remain wholly themselves. That's the part audiences felt in her words, the feeling that this connection, however defined, gave them both back to themselves. If the future asks for more patience, they seem ready. If it offers celebration, they'll meet it with the same quiet joy that has become their hallmark. And if life asks for letting go, her words tell us she will bless what has been, honor what is, and keep walking, changed but not broken. That's why people can't stop talking about that interview. It didn't chase forever like a promise you can't keep. It honored a present that feels honest, and in that honesty, a different kind of forever was born, a forever of influence, memory, and growth. For now, the world watches kindly. The cameras will keep rolling, the scripts will change, the sets will move from city to city. Through it all, there is a thread the public can't quite see but can somehow feel, a thread pulled quietly between two people who learned that real love doesn't shout. It simply endures, even in silence, even between lines, even in the spaces where words would only get in the way. And that is where we leave them tonight, in a moment that is gentle but strong, private yet shared with millions, held lightly even as it holds them. However the seasons turn, one truth remains: what they have touched has touched them back. And long after the headlines have moved on, the echo of this love will keep teaching them who they are.